We're in kind of like would you call this a vestibule? Yeah. And right as you enter into the reception area to the right.
Right. There's a coat room and a restroom. The restrooms were always a hike from the reception area, and now we've made it so that there's at least a restroom on your way up for your on your way up. But one of the amazing opportunities that came to us unplanned was the artist Diane Chen suggested that most museum bathrooms are the most regularly visited gallery, and yet they're generally pretty blasé. So she asked if she could create an installation for the museum's restroom and for the vestibule outside the restroom. So what we have is this amazing piece of history that in a contemporary installation done by a contemporary artist. And that's really one of the things that the museum tries to continue to do, is make our history, KPN history, relevant to people today. So what Diane Chen has done is taken shipwrecked shards. These are all from different shipwrecks, and I have a whole list of where they were located. And
these are real. These are not.
They're real shipwrecked shards from the 1700s and the 1800s.
Wow.
And she visited the museum's archives. She asked for some kind of story. What could she put on these shards to tell a story? So working with the librarian archivist Stephanie Buck and the museum's curator Martha Oakes, they came up with the diary, using the diary of Amanda Babson. I believe it's from the year 1838. It may be even just like 1 month of her diary. And her husband, Captain Edward Babson, was a ship captain on the brig Cadet, and she used his ship's logs. So she took the actual text from his writing on what was happening sailing every single day on his journey, and then his wife's diaries and what was happening in Gloucester at the same time that he was traveling, and created decals that then she fired onto these ships, these shards. So if you look closely, so we're creating a catalog that will have the text blown up so that you can actually read it. It's legible next to some of the pieces that Diane created. I don't have my glasses on, but Captain Babson will write the latitude and the longitude of where he was that day, or smooth sailing, or I can't even read, squalls ahead. And so at any rate, this is a contemporary installation using historical documents, all related to Cape Ann.
Amazing. I want you to we're just going to follow you around now.
Okay.
That's all right.
Make sure I have lights on. So the museum's premier collection of the museum is the Fitzhenry Lane paintings. Lane grew up in Gloucester and was raised in Gloucester. Lived in Boston for a while as a lithographer, working as a lithographer, and then returned to Cape Ann to work sort of, for the bulk of his life. So this museum has the largest collection of Lane's paintings. We have about 40 of his oils and then about 100 of his drawings. The amazing thing about most of our paintings is that they never left Cape Ann. They were owned by families who either commissioned the work from the artist, or they were given the paintings by him as a gift. So the museum had a president in the 40s and 50s who realized how important it would be for these paintings to stay on Cape Ann, and he encouraged people who owned them to give them to the museum, and that's why we have the largest collection. And there are amazing pieces of art, but there are also amazing documents of what was happening on the Gloucester waterfront and Cape Ann waterfront in the mid-1800s. So his father was a sailmaker, so Lane was very familiar with rigging, and his vessels are generally incredibly accurate. And then there's the sky, and that's really a lot of what he's known for is the way he painted the skies. So
the light,
exactly. So before this,
which is a big reason why a lot of painters come here.
Came here, exactly. The Cape Ann light, exactly. Yeah. So before this gallery was built in the 1960s, before the renovation. We had about 10 cans lights in the ceiling, and then the rest were all down lights. And we have added 120 new cans to fixtures to this room. So every Lane painting will be illuminated in a way it never has
properly,
been
yes.
before.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
And this room used to be a big wide open space and almost a free-for-all. And so what we've done is created these smaller spaces that take you through Lane's life. So we have 3 sort of period rooms with historic wallpaper and carpeting. They're reproductions, but they're from that period. And this is the Catalina Davis room. She was one of the early donors to the museum. And so we'll have a Lane painting that she donated to the museum in context with the way she may have had it hanging in her home with period furniture, etc. And then this gallery here will be Lane's biography. So these are sort of the early parts of earlier Lane's paintings. And what you're seeing right now is the museum installing these paintings. So, we're the curator and a couple art installers are working to hang.
There's blueprints everywhere. We are
plans, right?
August 16th is not that far away. It's like this massive rush to let's get this done. It must be like all hands on deck kind of feeling around here.
Yeah, we totally took the museum apart and we're totally reinstalling it.
Oh, that's amazing.
So this is Lane's biography. Do you want to keep?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
And this room used to be linen white, and so we've moved into color here, which really, once again, I think makes the paintings pop. We covered up 2 windows so that this is better for the collection. It's better for the art to have less regular daylight. So we have, UV film on the windows, and then we have a screen here, but we've reduced the amount of natural light in the space.
Now, you talk about, his work and stuff, but I haven't been in this room for probably a couple of years, and every time I come in, it's just you have to come see these works. You have to get an appreciation. Everybody talks about it, but until you're in front of it, you cannot get an appreciation for how you will be blown away. These scenes, that's got to be 10 Pound Island right there, and oh my Lord, and the fort, and but the detail in it, this like the stories that he's telling. Oh my goodness, there's a reason why he was
so renowned.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So take us. I'm sorry for interrupting.
That's okay. No.
Yeah.
So this is Gloucester, Cape Ann, mid-century. And then this space will be his students and his influences. He was not the only person painting at the time. There were also some people who were his students, other people who worked after him, who sort of realized that the kind of painting that he was doing was popular and what he was selling. And so they were also starting to do some more of the maritime scenes. So this room will have, once again, Mary Mellon, who was one of his more well-known students, some of her paintings, and some others as well. This room will be the Alfred Mansfield Brooks room. He was he was the former president who enabled many of these lanes to stay on Cape Ann.
All right.
And Lane didn't paint in a vacuum. He was a part of the community. He was a part of the social and cultural life that was going on at his time. He, I believe, was on the board or a president of the Gloucester Lyceum. And he was possibly influenced, and the Lyceum had speakers like Ralph Waldo Emerson, and people come from around the state and the country too. They were really interested in making sure that the citizenry was well educated. And so those people were talking about transcendentalism, the philosophy of sort of how nature and man coexist. And so we think some of these later paintings may have been influenced by some of what that thinking was at the time.
Is this the painting you were speaking with earlier that's going to have the interactive?
Yeah, they all will.
Oh,
but this
wow.
is one that you can actually use. I used as an example. So what this new Fitzhenry Lane Online project that we're working on, we've taken high-res images of all of our lane paintings. So you will be able to zoom, you can get on our website and you can zoom in and see that there's actually a man on a horse in this painting that I never saw until we started to do this. This is the Pavilion Hotel right here, and so you can zoom on the Pavilion Hotel. The museum's archives have the blueprints of the hotel. We, there may be some places where we might have a guest book in. I'm not sure that we have it for the pavilion, but at any rate, we have all this supporting material that if you click on something, you can find out more about it. You can click on this vessel and find out what kind of vessel it is. What were these men fishing for? What is this and why is it called that?
The fort.
The fort.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right.
Wow. You can see that. So it looked like a pentagram or something, maybe like I don't know how many sides there was to it, but yeah, that is amazing.
So we're very excited about the launch, and it will be something that, it'll be a tool that a scholar could use if you were doing more study about Lane, or if your third grader was writing a report on the waterfront in the 1840s and what was around there. They could access the website, the online resource, and so I think there'll be something for everyone. And the wonderful thing is you can keep adding the information to it. So more people will come to us and say, I know more about this, or I have this, and so we can add to it as an online resource, something you couldn't do in a published book.
Right. Yeah. Amazing.
And then this gallery is sort of shows the work that Lane did toward the end of his life. The Civil War was, sort of going on just as he was going out. This desk in particular was the desk that all the recruits who were signing up for the Civil War had to register on this desk.
This actual desk?
This actual desk.
Whoa! And where were
it was? It was in a registration office, and I'm not sure if that was a city hall or where. They might have had a number of them, where people had to go and sign up. But this is one desk that was used by recruits for the Civil War.
Whoa! Yeah. Oh my goodness! Wow, you can you know exactly where that is, right? That's got to be over where Cressy's Beach goes to. I mean,
Norman's Woe it's one of the paintings. It's called Norman's Woe.
Just oh my Lord!
That's what's heading toward Manchester.
Oh, I wasn't in focus there, but now I am. We have Catherine Ryan behind us.
Cove, yeah.
Oh, right here?
Yeah, yes.
Wow, he was everywhere.
And so one of the interesting things on that catalog, right, that Fitzhenry Lane Online, Lane actually did 5 or 6 versions of a painting like this. And so you can click on all of those paintings, you can line them up next to one another and sort of compare what he did in one painting to another painting. So there's a lot you can do to learn more about his work.
And, all right, let's wrap this segment up right here. This is, there's so much here. People are going to be really excited about this. It's our mission to make people understand how amazing and how fortunate we are to have this in our backyard.